So, you're in the first trimester of pregnancy. This is, without a doubt, one of the most incredible and delicate times in a person's life. Those first 12 weeks, they're everything. They're the moments when the absolute foundation for your baby's entire life is being laid. But with that comes a lot of questions. What are the hidden risks? And more importantly, how do you navigate them? It's the question that's on every expectant parent's mind, right? And here's the thing. Some of the biggest risks are the ones hiding in plain sight. Seriously. We're talking about things in our everyday habits, the food in our kitchen, maybe even the stuff in our medicine cabinets. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and bring all of those unseen risks right out into the light. I want you to think about it like building a house. The first trimester isn't just pouring the concrete foundation. It's also drawing up the entire blueprint at the same time. Every single major system, that tiny neural tube that's going to become the brain and spinal cord, the little heart that's just starting to beat, the beginnings of every single organ, it's all happening right now. It is an absolutely mind-blowing process, and it's precisely why any disruption during this phase can have such huge, lifelong impacts. Okay, here's a sciencey word that's really going to be the key to this whole conversation: teratogen. It sounds complicated, I know, but the idea is actually super simple. A teratogen is just, it's anything that can get in the way of a baby's normal development. If you can get your head around this one concept, you'll understand why all the advice we're about to talk about is so incredibly important. So, to make this all easy to follow, we've broken it down into a few key areas. We'll start with some habits you might want to put on pause. Then, we're going to peek into your plate and your pantry. After that, we'll get into wellness and some medical wisdom. And we'll wrap it all up by talking about the most important partner you have on this entire journey. All right, let's dive right into our first section. We're going to focus on those everyday habits that maybe need a little bit of a second look, and some that honestly just need to be put on hold for a while for the health of your baby. And let's start with the big one. This one is completely non-negotiable. The medical advice, whether you're looking at the CDC in the US or the NHS in the UK, is crystal clear. There is no known safe amount of alcohol you can drink during pregnancy, period. Even a tiny amount can cross the placenta, and that poses a serious risk. And this right here shows you exactly why that advice is so strict. Fetal alcohol syndrome is a severe, lifelong condition. And it's not just about physical development. It can cause profound behavioral and learning disabilities that last a lifetime. But here's the most critical thing you need to know. It is 100% preventable. Because once it happens, it can't be treated. The symptoms can only be managed for the rest of that person's life. Just as dangerous is any exposure at all to cigarette smoke. And listen, this isn't just about whether you're smoking yourself. Secondhand smoke or passive smoke is also incredibly harmful. If you're in a car or a room with someone who's smoking, your baby is breathing in those exact same dangerous chemicals. So what's actually happening? Well, nicotine and carbon monoxide are the main bad guys here. They literally reduce the amount of oxygen getting to your developing baby. And that can set off a whole chain reaction of problems like low birth weight, a higher chance of premature birth, and it's also a known risk factor for SIDS after the baby is born. Okay, now for all my fellow coffee and tea lovers out there, this is the number you need to tattoo on your brain. Unlike alcohol, the experts do agree that there is a safe limit for caffeine, 200 milligrams a day. So what does that look like? Well, it's roughly one standard 12-ounce cup of coffee. The reason for the limit is pretty straightforward. A growing fetus just can't process caffeine the way we can, so it's really best to keep their exposure nice and low. Okay, let's shift gears from personal habits to your immediate surroundings. Because what's on your plate and what's hiding in your pantry? Oh yeah, that matters a whole lot. This chart here really breaks down the key food choices. The big risks with food usually come from two places: nasty bacteria like Listeria and Toxoplasmosis, and high levels of mercury in certain types of fish. That's why you see things like undercooked meat, unpasteurized or soft cheeses, and things like pate on the risky list. They can all carry bacteria. And big fish like shark and swordfish, they're on there because they have a lot of mercury. So the rule of thumb is super simple. Make sure it's cooked all the way through, pasteurized, and from a source you trust. And the risks aren't just what you eat. You got to think about what you're breathing in, too. Strong chemical fumes from things like household cleaners or bug sprays can be inhaled. The advice here is really simple and practical. When you're cleaning, open a window, make sure the area is well ventilated, wear some gloves, and just get into the habit of reading the labels on everything, from your cleaning sprays to your beauty products. All right, let's talk about you and your personal wellness. This whole section is about making smart, safe choices when it comes to medications, exercise, and even your mental health during this first trimester. This right here is the golden rule. Just because you can buy something off the shelf at a pharmacy does not mean it's safe to take during pregnancy. Even a super common painkiller like ibuprofen can pose a risk. The same thing goes for herbal remedies, by the way. So before you take absolutely anything, please just make the call to your doctor or midwife first. Now, staying active is fantastic for you during pregnancy, but the focus really changes. The goal isn't to set a new personal record or push yourself to the limit. It's all about gentle, consistent movement. You can see on the slide things like walking, swimming, prenatal yoga. Those are all excellent choices. The main thing you want to do is avoid anything with a high risk of falling or any kind of direct impact to your belly. Let's talk about a risk that we often can't see: chronic stress. When you are constantly stressed out, your body is pumping out high levels of a hormone called cortisol. Over time, that can affect your baby's development and your own health too. That's why it's so important to be intentional about building moments of calm into your day. It doesn't have to be some big, complicated thing. It could be as simple as reading a book, doing a few minutes of meditation, or even just stopping to take a few deep breaths. And that brings us to our last and, maybe our most important section. This whole journey isn't something you do alone. It's a partnership, a team effort between you and your healthcare providers. Please, whatever you do not skip your prenatal appointments. They are so much more than just a routine check-in. This is where the silent problems, things like high blood pressure or gestational diabetes, get caught. Regularly monitoring your vital signs is one of the most powerful tools you have to make sure you and your baby stay healthy. And while this one happens a little later in pregnancy, usually around the 20-week mark, it's good to know it's on the horizon. The anomaly scan is a really key milestone that builds on all the care you've been getting in these early months. It's a very detailed ultrasound that checks for a number of different conditions, and it's a critical part of that whole monitoring process. This slide just nails it, doesn't it? We live in an age where we have all the information in the world in our pocket, and it is so tempting to fall down that anxiety rabbit hole, Googling every little ache and twinge. Please try to resist that urge. Use the internet for general learning, sure, but when it comes to your specific health, make your doctor or your midwife your one and only trusted source. They need to be your go-to. So as we wrap up here, the whole point of all this information isn't to make you feel scared or overwhelmed. It's the exact opposite. It's meant to empower you. Just by understanding these risks, you're already taking the most important first steps. So the real question isn't just about what you need to avoid, it's this: how are you going to use this knowledge to become your baby's very first and most important protector?